Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're really cracking open a belief in the hospitality industry that, well, the sources you sent us suggest is costing small hotel owners some serious money.
Right. It's this really ingrained idea that, professional advertising, that's for the big guys. That's for the Marriotts, the Hiltons.
Exactly. Small hotels feel they're too niche, or maybe their budget is just too tight to even think about competing in that world.
And that's what one of the sources called mistake number 47, this belief that it's too complicated or too expensive.
And so that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to challenge that idea head on. We're not just talking theory here. We're looking at hard evidence that shows how even a really modest investment can be a total game changer.
And it's a game changer not just for filling rooms, but for building a real sustainable brand.
Okay, so that core conflict is really important to get. I mean, so many smaller hotel owners, they rely on walk-ins, maybe word of mouth, but
Mostly the OTAs, the online travel agencies. They think that's the safe, easy route because they don't have to do the marketing themselves.
But that's the trap, isn't it? The sources are pretty clear that this belief, this idea that advertising is unnecessary, is costing them way more than the ads ever would.
It's costing them bookings, it's costing them visibility, and I think most importantly, it's costing them brand power. It's costing them control.
So what is this dangerous mindset, really? I mean, what does it boil down to?
I think it's two things. First, it's a real misunderstanding of how digital platforms actually work. And second, it's just a fear of the complexity.
It's that advertising is for Marriott, not for me thought.
Exactly. Or it's the idea that you need a whole specialized team and a massive budget to even get started, which just isn't true.
Okay, let's unpack that for a second. This fear of complexity. When an owner decides to just stick with the OTAs and skip advertising, they think they're saving money, but they're not, are they?
No, not at all. They're sacrificing these really critical points of their business. I'm talking about direct bookings, for one.
Which means they're losing margin on every single booking. But what about the data? I feel like that's a huge piece of this.
The data is the silent killer.
Yeah.
When you rely 100% on an OTA, your guests remember the platform they booked on, not your hotel.
Right. They remember Booking.com, not the beautiful resort they stayed at.
And you sacrifice control over their data. You don't own their email address, their phone number. You can't market to your own best customers. That's a huge loss.
Control. That really is the key word here. So why do they do it? Is it just inertia, just a habit they can't break?
It's a mix. But yeah, inertia is a big part of it. The OTA model feels convenient. You upload your photos, you set a price, and the bookings just sort of roll in.
It's easy.
It's easy. And the thought of setting up a Google ad account feels, I don't know, intimidating in comparison.
Yeah.
But that convenience leads to this massive pain point the sources talk about, the waiting period. While that small hotel owner is sitting there just waiting for a booking to come through, their competitor is out there, active.
They're constantly visible.
Constantly. As one source put it, they're dancing in front of your guests on Instagram, Google, and YouTube. You just have to be where people are looking.
And let's talk about the money again, the OTA commissions. For anyone listening who isn't in the industry, what kind of financial hit are we talking about here?
It can be pretty significant. Yeah. You're looking at anywhere from, say, 15% to sometimes as high as 25% of the total room rate.
Wow. So on a, say, 5,000 rupee room, you could be handing over more than 1,000 rupees a night.
You could. And when you start thinking about that cost, suddenly spending a little on an ad to get that customer directly looks a lot cheaper, doesn't it?
It really does. And the sources say the winners in this space, they aren't necessarily better. They're just, and I'm quoting here, louder, more consistent, and visible where it matters.
It's a visibility game, plain and simple. If people don't know you exist, they can't book you. And the biggest hurdle is just getting over that mental block that says, I can't afford to be loud.
But the cost of being invisible is so much higher.
Exponentially higher. And we have a perfect example of that. We don't need to look at some giant chain. We can look at a real-world story right from the source material.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the Sakleshpur case study, because this really challenges that I'm too small myth. This was a 15-room nature resort, right?
That's right. In Sakleshpur, which is known for, family getaways, nature tourism. And the owner was a total skeptic. He really believed ads were just for big city hotels or, massive resorts in Goa.
But he decided to try a small-scale targeted test.
He did. And when we say small scale, we need to be really clear about what that means.
Okay, so what was the investment? What was the daily budget?
This is the amazing part. The budget was just 300 rupees per day.
300 rupees. I mean, that's less than a fancy cup of coffee. That's an incredibly small amount of money for a business.
It's nothing. But they weren't trying to advertise to the whole country. The strategy was super focused.
How did they manage that? How did they get that precision on such a tiny budget?
Well, they used the power of platforms like Instagram and Google. They knew their ideal guest was a family in Bangalore who was interested in weekend trips or nature parks. So they just targeted them.
So they didn't waste a single rupee on eyeballs that weren't likely to convert.
Exactly. And the results over just 30 days are where this whole thing just clicks into place.
Okay, let's walk through it. What happened in that 1 month?
So in just 30 days, that tiny campaign, which cost them less than 10,000 rupees total, generated 280 specific inquiries.
280. That's a huge number of warm leads for a small hotel. And how many of those converted into actual bookings?
They got 54 confirmed bookings out of that.
54, from basically pocket change. And what did that translate to in terms of revenue?
The total revenue generated for the resort was 4.2 lakh rupees. And remember, that was all direct revenue. So they kept the full amount. No 20% commission paid to an OTA.
That is a phenomenal return on ad spend. But you mentioned something else, something that's almost more valuable in the long run. The leads.
Absolutely. The campaign was set up to automatically collect contact info. They got over 120 WhatsApp leads added to their database.
So now they have this list of people they are interested, who they can market to for free in the future.
It's a permanent asset built from a temporary ad spend. And the owner's reaction, according to the sources, really says it all.
What did he realize?
He just realized his whole assumption was wrong. He thought only five-star hotels could do this, but with just 300 rupees and the right message, his phone just wouldn't stop buzzing. He changed one belief, and it transformed his business.
That story really proves it's possible. So let's transition then. Why is this not just an opportunity, but, as the sources say, a non-negotiable growth strategy? I mean, if a hotel isn't running ads, are they actually going backwards?
In today's world, I think so, yes.
Yeah.
If you're not there, your competitor is.
Huh.
And it's non-negotiable because it's what makes a business sustainable. And the key thing is, it doesn't mean the owner has to become a digital marketing expert.
It's about having a system.
It's about having a system and the right message. And that system gives you these huge strategic advantages. The first one is what we just saw in action: precision targeting.
And that's not just about location, right?
Not at all. It's about interests, behaviors, demographics. You can even target things like life events, like new parents who might be looking for a family trip. You make sure every single rupee is working as hard as it possibly can.
And the second advantage is just pure financials.
Right.
Bypassing those commissions.
That's foundational. Every direct booking you get from your own ad means you skip that massive commission fee. I mean, if your ad costs you 300 rupees to get a booking, that would have cost you 1,000 in commission.
You just made an extra 700 rupees.
Exactly. The savings alone can pay for the ads many times over.
And the third advantage is more long-term, more strategic. It's about controlling the narrative.
Yes. This is about telling your unique story. An OTA listing just turns you into a commodity. It's a price, some bullet points, and a star rating.
It's a bed and a bathroom.
Right. But an ad lets you sell the experience, the feeling, the atmosphere, the reason you started the hotel. That's what builds loyalty. That's what gets people to connect with your brand, not just a price on a website.
And if you connect all those dots, you see why it's non-negotiable. You're building your own business, your own customer base, not just feeding someone else's platform.
It's a shift from just worrying about tonight's occupancy to actually growing your brand for the long term. It's an investment in your own independence.
The sources mention that this isn't about just throwing money around. It's about learning a methodology. They called it the CSK strategy. Can you break that down?
Yeah, it's just a simple framework. The C is for compelling content, telling that story. The S is for having a system to track everything properly.
And the
K is for key metrics. Knowing what numbers actually matter, like your cost to acquire a customer versus the margin you save by getting them directly. It's about being smart, not just spending big.
So, structured action. That's what the Sakleshpur case shows.
It showed that the only thing that really needed to change for them was that mindset, that belief that they were too small to be seen.
So the core conclusion here is pretty clear then. Advertising isn't about blindly spending a fortune. It's about strategically amplifying your story to the right people.
Right. It's about being proactive and that fear of cost and complexity. The results from Sakleshpur just don't support it. The barrier to entry is just so low.
The final message from the sources is one that I think every small hotel owner should hear. It's, you're not too small to advertise. You're just too invisible to ignore ads anymore.
I mean, after seeing those 54 bookings, that revenue, the myth is pretty much busted, right?
Absolutely. And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to take away. The Sakaleshpur Resort generated over 4 lakh rupees in revenue in 1 month from a tiny daily spend. So the question is this: how much potential revenue is your hotel losing every single month by maintaining a $0 advertising budget? It might be time to find out.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.